Hello.
Hi.
Kayla Lords.
John Brownstone.
Of Loving BDSM, where we help kinksters like you have happy, healthy power exchange relationships. We're back to answer another question, because that's what we do, because it's a Monday, if you're watching the day this actually gets published. I mean, it's time travel when it comes to videos. You could be watching like 5 years from now. I wouldn't know unless you commented and said, I'm watching 5 years from now. If that occurs and somebody does comment, I will have forgotten I ever said this. But it will be very cool. It will be very cool.
And yet it's, set in stone that you said it.
I know. It's the weird thing about time travel. You don't actually know until it happens. And then you're like, oh, wow, it happened. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That has nothing to do with this week's question. But if I'm not random and chaotic from the beginning, how will you know what you're getting yourself into? Actually, this week's question is from a submissive who's like getting her groove back and is trying to figure out how to let her dom know in a way that lets her feel submissive and her dom feel like a dom. Let's get into this question. I, 31 female princess service sub, am married to my dom, 40 male daddy nurturer dom, and we have a 24/7 power exchange. Over the past year, due to various reasons, a big one being birth control that completely killed my sex drive and desire for kink, we had to very much back off of the kink part of our relationship, and even maintaining a healthy vanilla sex life was a chore. I've gotten off of this form of birth control, and I'm slowly regaining my drive for both kink and sex. My husband was very gracious with me during this period, and did not force me to do anything that felt like too much for me to handle during that period. But now that I'm returning to my old subby self, how do I let him know that I want and need him to go back to being more actively dominant with me without feeling like I'm telling him how to dom? How do we get back to our old selves and leave that chapter in the past? For example, before the birth control of doom, he would order me to get on my knees or do this for daddy. Now, after it's more of a question, to which I usually respond with, if you want, which he has let me know he doesn't enjoy, but I don't want to, as a sub, be initiating all the time. But I understand that he has some initiation burnout from when I physically and mentally was not able to say yes. So then we get caught in a if you want to loop. I feel like we've been there. This is a little bit like our life.
Kind of been there, done that, got the t-shirt kind of thing.
And we're back to having, kinky monkey sex.
Yeah.
So for us, we figured out our way through it, and I say that to say, you can figure your way out through this to get back to whatever you want to get back to.
Now, let me just start here by saying, I understand person's fear of topping from the bottom, since so many people make such a big thing out of it, sometimes more so than I think needs to be. Now, that being said, there is a big difference between saying what you want, okay, as in saying, Daddy, I could really use a spanking, okay, which is expressing your needs, your wants, as to what I would consider topping from the bottom as saying, okay, Daddy, I need a spanking, but I want to be over your lap. I want you to start with your hands and go to this paddle, then use that. That is...
It can be. I mean, if what you're in is a power exchange where the agreement is that Dom decides based on your needs, wants, boundaries, limits, then yes. Now, if we're in a top-bottom situation, that is just bottoming. Yeah. But, yes, absolutely. Yeah. I could see where somebody would see it.
Again, going to go back to an old axiom that we talk about, no dom is a mind reader. For him to know that, you're ready to get your kink back on, that you're, feeling your sexual self again, you have to tell them. And you have to tell them.
And I think you have to tell them outside of the moment you're feeling it. I think you need to sit down, find a time when you can both focus and you can both give attention to this conversation and say, hey, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'd like to get back to in some form. Here's what I miss. Here's what I need. Here's what I want. Right. That then gives your partner the opportunity to say to you, okay, well, here's what I can give. Here's what I want. Here's what I need. You may renegotiate your kink and sex life a little bit.
Right. And that's what I was going to say. Even though they've been in this relationship, and they had the kink, they navigate their vanilla lives, it's like a renegotiation.
Because some things have changed for both of you over this time.
Right.
And so you may approach things differently. I think waiting until you're in the mood to indicate you're in the mood means that, yeah, you might get stuck in this, I don't know if you want to, and that's not helpful for anybody, because you're trying to navigate the, I want to be submissive to you and for you to take charge and to lead this, and your partner's trying to navigate the, but sometimes she really doesn't feel like it and I don't want to cross boundaries. So take this conversation out of your sexy time moment and go get a coffee, go to lunch, go for a walk in the park, go for a drive. We've had some of our most in-depth conversations just driving in the car.
Yes.
That parallel conversation where you don't really have to look at each other and you can just say what you need to say. The other thing we did recently, because we had started having sex again after yet another dry spell, and it was good and I was enjoying it, but I realized there were things that I wanted that I wasn't getting, and I didn't quite know how to explain them, because what I'm wanting is a vibe and a feeling, not a specific action. That is not always easy to try to describe to a partner so that you're clearly communicating your needs.
Right.
But we actually, I think we had our like fun sexy time to an extent, and we're both naked in bed and we're just chilling. And I was like, hey, can I tell
While
you
we're
some
here
stuff?
together,
Right.
yeah.
While we're both very relaxed because we did just have sexy fun time.
Right.
Can I tell you this thing that's been on my mind? And I also try to navigate these conversations so that I'm not placing demands on him, like, this is what I expect you to do. One, that's no fun for me, because as a submissive, I want there to be some element of, I don't know if surprise is the right word, but I want the ability to go, here are the things I want, here are the things I don't want, here are the things I think I can handle, here are the things I can't handle, and then step back and let JB decide. He is the decider, he's in charge of all these things. Also, I am not capable of initiating kinky, sexy, fun times because my brain is just not wired that way. So we ended up having like a 20 or 30 minute conversation where slowly, in a halting, chaotic, probably confusing way, I try to describe not the specific play that I wanted, but the way I wanted to feel and the types of sensations I wanted to experience. Right. Now, here's the thing, and I think sometimes people forget this. We had this conversation from the time of recording, 3 or 4 days ago, maybe longer?
Yeah.
It's still on him to decide when and how that occurs. And it hasn't occurred yet because life hasn't aligned and desires haven't aligned. Right. And that's where he still has all the control. He knows what I'm looking for, but he gets to decide how that happens.
And that's the thing. Without her telling me what she wanted, which is, in this particular case, pushing some boundaries and bringing some things back that we used to do, I wouldn't know. All right. She had to tell me.
Right. Because we have lived under the whole no libido, barely getting our, kink on, what even is fuckery and a scene anymore for literal years.
Since about 2019.
2018 is when the sex started to dry up. 2021, 2022. Maybe earlier, 2020, the kink started to dry up. We got it back for a while. We had like a good 6-month run where the kink scenes were back. And then it dried up again. So we have gone in and out of this many times.
Right.
The only thing that brings it back is clear, consistent, open communication.
Right.
JB knows when I'm like, hey, like for me to get my libido back, I had to go on hormone replacement therapy. Right now it's estrogen and testosterone. I'm still waiting for some of it to kick in. It's early days to get back on this medicine. But my job is to tell him, hey, I'm going to take this medicine and, it may help me get my libido back. And, oh, hey, I'm feeling it today. Oh, I'm not feeling it today or whatever. When he initiates, it's my job, yes, to let him know yes or no. But since, like you, there were a lot of times he initiated and I pulled away, part of it, and this was not before we had the conversation, this was after, I don't say training in like a kink power way, but it's a little bit of retraining a partner's brain. Yeah. So
yes, it is.
Your partner now has all this experience where they initiated and you had to shut it down because it didn't work. Once you have the conversation with them, once you're both clear on, hey, this is what I want to get and here's what I'd like to experience and this is what I miss and all those things, and then they have the power and control to do that kind of initiation. And it needs to be honest when you do this. Like, don't force yourself if you're not feeling it. That's not what I mean. But when they initiate, if you're into it, be enthusiastic. Like, whatever that looks like for y'all's dynamic, let them know without any question, unequivocally, that you are into this. Because that's the response they need to see. That's the thing that will help them relearn that it is safe to initiate without getting clear, like, hand in the air, wave a flag, let me know, send up, fireworks. Like, if you don't want to have to do that part, then your job when you are into what they're initiating is to be enthusiastic. Now, the other thing I would say is I think subs get, like, in their head a bit about initiating. I'm going to tell you how I do it because this is who I have always been. I can initiate for about 20 to 30 seconds, okay? I can make my interest known without even saying a word sometimes, and then there comes a point where my brain literally shuts off, and if somebody don't pick up what I'm putting down, it's just going to fizzle and die right there.
And let me just kind of interject here a little bit. Sometimes picking up signs is not that easy a thing.
Right.
Okay, because you may be feeling one way, and me, man, I'm drowned in this work, and I'm busy plowing through this, so I might miss some things. So back in the day when Kayla would want a spanking, we had code words.
Right.
She would come to me and say, "Daddy, my skin feels tight."
Right. That was for a therapeutic kind of spanking.
Right.
When I want to get my kink on because I'm fucking horny, which is what I'm going for here.
Yeah.
Okay. I will come up to you and I will do a thing that I know you respond to sexually. And that's the advice I'm trying to give here, okay? If you're like the libido's back and you're ready to get into some kinky sex and you're like, oh shit, how do I let him know without us getting into the back and forth loop of, I don't know if you want to, I don't know if you want to. Look, we get into that loop about dinner a lot, okay? So I feel like I know that loop. But what I do is I come up to JB and maybe I kiss him, which is very rare. I do not usually initiate those. Maybe I just grab his junk, okay? And I, not like in a negative way, not even in an aggressive way, because that's like, I like to be treated aggressively, but it is rare that I respond aggressively. But I'm touching him in ways that I know he responds to sexually, or that gets his sadistic daddy side. Like, if I can cause the gleam in his eyes by interacting in a way that I know he responds to,
gets that engine started.
That is the clearest sign, nonverbal sign I know. And then, because of the way I'm wired, my brain goes blank. I do the serious kiss. I stroke the genitals. I pinch the nipples, like whatever. So he knows that I'm feeling away because we have developed these signals over a decade of being together. My brain goes blissfully blank because I'm like, I don't know what comes after this. I had enough energy and gumption and horniness to get to here.
But now
I got nothing. The nice thing is he knows that about me. We've had that conversation. He knows I'm going to do this thing for 20, 30 seconds. If you do not pick it up, it's done. It's done. And so, one, that's a good way
I blew my chance.
Right. Because I only want to have the kinky fuckery sexy times that, even if I initiate, that he is in control of. If he is not in the mood, or he is not, like, he's just not seeing it, and he doesn't come back and go, okay, I got this, did a good job, baby girl. Now let daddy take over.
Right.
If he does not respond that way, I'll be a little disappointed, but it's not the end of the world because I want him to be in control of that. Yeah. If he does respond, it means I've let him know that I am open to something. And now he's in the driver's seat again, which is where I want him to be. So all of that, you have to have a conversation about what you're wanting and how you're feeling. And it needs to be before you get horny, before you want the thing, before you're ready to kneel, whatever. Whether it's power exchange, scene, or sex, or a combination of however you do your power exchange. Yeah. You need to talk about it outside of the moment that you're wanting it, to talk about how you're feeling, where your head is at, some things you'd like to get back to. Give your partner the opportunity to say, okay, well, here's where I'm concerned, here's where I'm nervous, whatever, but here's what I would like. Then, if it feels right for you, you can initiate without controlling shit. You can initiate without telling your dom how to dom. I've initiated a kink scene by just kneeling and him walking in, and because kneeling is such a powerful thing. It's not that I want to kneel without being told or I think I'm telling him what to do. Again, the thing to remember is I indicate the interest and then he takes it from there, right? He's still in charge. He's still deciding what we do, but I'm going to do a thing that's going to let him know this is where my head is at. Here's where I'd like to be. And if I want a kink scene, these days I'm going to go, it's been a while since I've gotten a spanking. And I'm going to just say it. And then I let it go. I don't hound him. I don't nag him. I don't even assume that anything will even happen that day. It might be 2 or 3 days.
And that's when I tell her, be careful what you ask for.
And I'm like, I know. I've got enough experience with you. I know to be a little scared. That's what makes it fun. But, if you'd like to get back to some power exchange stuff where you're on your knees, well, surprise in like a delicate, gentle way. Surprise him by he walks into the bedroom and you're already there on your knees. Now, what he does with it after that, that's on him. You're not telling him how to then dom you. You're not telling him what to do next. You're letting him know.
You're just cracking the door
ready.
open. Yeah.
And he might go, I see what you're doing here. I'm here for it. We can't do this right now, but I will remember this. We will come back to it. He might give you a 5-minute scene. That's the other thing I think people forget, especially when you're getting back into it and it's been so long. To be meaningful, to be a point of reconnection, to get that intimacy back between you, you do not need an hours-long session.
No.
5 minutes where you feel your submissive self and he feels his dominant self can be enough to just get a little bit of that mojo back. So both of you need to consider that it doesn't have to be this intricately long planned thing. Lola agrees. If you don't have time for it, if you're not quite sure where you stand with one another, it can be 5 minutes of you knelt in the bedroom to let him know you were down for whatever.
Right.
And he did a thing like, I know what JB would do. He would absolutely put his hand on my head. He'd probably stroke my hair. He'd stroke my face. That he might even like tell me to crawl to him, and that might be all we can get done before like the rest of life calls.
Yeah,
it would be enough. I would walk out of that room feeling my most subby self, and that is meaningful, and important. And that's the other thing. If it's been a long time, you might have to get back to one another in baby steps. It might be small moments that then lead up to bigger ones, and that's okay too. So, anything you would add?
No, I think we.
So yeah,
pretty much covered it.
We're speaking on from the side of we have gone through this, and we are
been there, done that.
Lola agrees, and we are getting back to who we were, who we want to be. We are also recognizing that it's going to change and modify over the years. Who we were in 2018 and the fuckery we got up to then is completely different now. Because circumstances have changed, life has changed, where we even live and our access to things has changed. And that's okay too. So you might not get back to exactly what you had before, but you can find something new that works for both of you.
Correct.
So if you have gone through some version of this, please feel free to share your perspective in the comments below. We can all learn from one another. The way we did it is not the only way there is to figure this out and to navigate this. It is much more common than people realize, especially in long-term relationships. If you have your own question, please feel free to submit it. There's a link in the description box. It will be, you'll get a page, you'll fill it out, it'll come to us as an email, and I just leave them there. And as we record, what are words? I don't know. I go through questions.
We work our way through them.
Yeah. So we hope you will submit your question. If you enjoyed this, we love a thumbs up. If you like it enough to want to come back for more, please consider subscribing.
And once you do that, go ahead and ring the notification bell to get updates and new content.
And if you haven't subscribed, but you've watched a few of these and we don't completely annoy you, please subscribe. We're going for the arbitrary number of 10K. We will do a little celebration when we get there. So, every subscriber helps. It's sort of like every vote helps. It's not a vote. It's just a boop, boop, that. Just do that. And that's it for us. Bye.